Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Motion Socials Chronicles, where today is my absolute pleasure to have Thomas here. Thomas, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you a lot.
Absolutely. Thomas is the founder of Impact Media, helping businesses with direct to response ads. And so far, you have managed over $25 million in ad spend, I believe.
Correct. Yeah, since quite a few years. Yeah,
Uh,
2018.
that's impressive. That's a huge milestone. So, do you want to give us a quick intro about you and the business, how you started, how you got it into the business in the first place, and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. So just in short intro, I started my media buying journey in I think it was 2000, late 2017. I did some freelancing, and during COVID, I got a job as a full-time media buyer at a nine-figure eco brand that a lot of people know. So that company actually scaled very, very fast. They went from 0 to 100 million in revenue in like 3 years. So it's very intense. It was a great learning experience for me. And I worked there for some time. Then after that, I joined the agency, which is again amazing experience. Worked for the agency 2.5, 3 years. I work for very big clients in the United States. The NDA protected. I don't have problems speaking publicly, but everybody knows those people. Like if I would throw
Yeah,
the names, people would be like, "Wow." So I ran ads for a lot of big people in the US, and then mid of this year, I just decided to build my own agency because I met a lot of amazing people, mostly through LinkedIn. I did a lot of networking, and I got to a point where my kind of freelancing was paying me more money than the agency anyway. So
yeah,
it just made sense to start building and hiring people, and slowly, it's all organic. It's just
yeah.
happened. So yeah.
And right now, how big is the agency in terms of the team members?
It's very small. It's just three of us at the minute because I only work with a small group of people. I plan to expand this year because I was only running it for like 5 months full time.
Hmm.
So we only have a couple of clients that are selected that I'm trying to help to grow the business because it's not just the ads that we do. I pretty much focus on the whole funnel approach. So it's sales funnels, ads, and also the offer optimization. Because a lot of the time, like when I start working with those companies, we try different ads, or they tried ads in the past, which didn't work. But the problem was the how the offer was positioned, or sometimes the sales funnel. Like it happens like 80% of the time when it's like people come to me like, oh, we try ads, it didn't work, and then you have a look into it, and it's like, well, it's not the ad problem really. You had problems somewhere else inside your business. So that's how it goes at the minute.
Yeah, and you're working like with specific kind of industries or not at all?
Not at all. I know that a lot of the information, the agency scaling trainings out there is telling you focus on one niche, work with SaaS, work with B2B, e-commerce. I don't really have this approach because I can work with anybody. I spend millions in ecom, I spend millions in lead gen and B2B. Like I did everything, from SaaS to B2B, lead gen, booking calls, ecom sales, high ticket as well. Like some courses worth $20,000, I did them as well. So I have pretty much solid experience with everything, and I can scale any kind of business, right? Same like Hormozy, right? He's not gonna just run like I only help coaches. No, it's just like
Yeah,
if he sees the potential, he'll just help them
he
out
will
and try to
join that.
scale them, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And how hard, because I know that you work with many e-commerce businesses as well. So how hard is it right now to work with e-commerce businesses, especially in the paid ads stuff? Because with all of the iOS updates and stuff, with the Meta maybe not letting you to track the information of the users and everything.
Yeah.
All the way, I think that happened all the way from the iOS 14 update. So how hard has that became for you to work with e-commerce businesses on the paid ad stuff, and how do you actually adapt in such situations?
Yeah, it's definitely more challenging than it used to be when I worked during COVID for that company that scaled to 100 million. It was easier back then, but it's not even about the ads. It's just the economy has changed.
Yeah.
The thing with the e-commerce is that what I like to do now, my favorite clients are usually the clients where they have some sort of higher ticket offer on the back end because it's really easy, not easy, but like it's way easier to scale when you're compared to small AOV and lifetime value. So usually when I work with e-commerce, I'm really trying to focus more on metrics and make sure that the AOV is up, lifetime value is up, sometimes tweaking the offer sales funnel to increase the conversion rate. So that's very important. It's not just the ads. So like if there's anybody who's listened to this and think like, so I'm going to start e-commerce agency, I think it's just the hardest niche to be in, to be honest with you now. Like the e-commerce
Absolutely.
is super saturated and it's not easy to deliver because a lot of the founders out there, they also like have this expectation that they would want to run ads, acquire customers and also make profit, which I'm not saying it's it's not doable. Like I have friends here in Thailand where I live, where they're working for the agencies and they have drop shippers. And some of these drop shippers are making 300-400K a month in revenue and they have 30% margins, you know, selling some products. So it is doable, but for a lot of ecom brands, it's not going to happen. And it depends on the niche. So usually if you can break even on your acquisition and your lifetime value is pretty strong, you're in a good position. So yeah, I think like it's more sophisticated now, especially with the e-commerce. Like you have to have really good content. You have to push more organic. Your email has to be on point. With your ads, the tracking has to be sold properly. Like there are some solutions to this. Like one of the software that I use, it's called Upstackify. I'm not partner whatsoever. It's just I use them for some companies and it works. I know there are other ones I've heard about that. They improve the tracking and stuff. So, so yeah, those like third-party metrics. So it is not easy to be in the e-commerce, but like I feel like if the brand is really good and it has like good content, good production, good product, you know, that is a little bit more disruptive. And like there are some companies that are just like a little bit different, like, you know, Liquid Death, for example, one of those brands, right? So
Yeah.
they just took a boring product and just turned it into something cool. So like you really like for you to scale the e-com brand to the next level, you have to have something. You know, if you're just gonna copy another product, it's gonna be challenging, I guess. Until it's like a drop shipping where you're like a really good marketer and you see that something works and you can just take it and improve the sales funnel, the offer and everything and ads. Yeah, for high level marketers, it might work as well, but it's challenging.
It's challenging. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think you mentioned we cannot mention some of the big brands that you work for, but I know them. You mentioned to me them before the call, but not to mention them, but I just want to know because, as you said, if we mention who you work for, everyone's gonna be wow. You know, everyone knows the top industry leader and everything. So I just want to know how hard is it to work with such gr big businesses, great industry leaders? How hard is it to actually get in touch with them for potentially to work with them and the whole experience of working with them? How did you actually like manage to get in touch, get the get the opportunity to work with?
Okay, so the big names that I told you about it is when I work at the previous agency. And let me here be very specific because the way that those clients usually come on board is usually through the referrals. Okay, because you know, if you have a company and you're the founder and the company is worth $100 million, you're gonna get pitched about the paid ads through your email, through every channel, at least 5 times a day. So the only way for you to really, select an agency that you wanna work with, it's gonna be usually through recommendations. So this is very interesting, right? Because it's a lot of the, like on LinkedIn especially, and in a whole like advertisement agencies and stuff in the agency niche, the biggest problem that I kind of think that is the biggest one out of all of them is customer acquisition. So really, the only way that I found it through past experiences and how I do it now is by knowing other people and by looking after those people. And if you can deliver a good results to those people, they will often look after you back in return. And if I can just share some ideas in here, sometimes you can meet somebody who has a great network, like I know some people, and you can do outstanding job for them for free, not even to get paid, but if they like you and they trust you, you can build business with 7 figures out of that one person. Trust me, I've seen it with my own eyes. Yeah, that's how I've seen some agencies grow, and it's pretty much no ads, no outreach, no personal brand. It's just knowing people who have a big personal brand and leveraging them. So it's very interesting. approach, if you can leverage that, it's going to help a lot. So that's how you get to those biggest people usually. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, like you never know, like someone who you meet might actually change your whole life. So
Yeah.
now working in the advertising space and working with e-commerce and many like fast evolving industries that are like trends coming in, coming out like on a regular basis, how hard is it for you and what is your, let's say, go-to resource to stay updated with the current trends?
I think that it's always good to join some sort of coaching or like school communities where you can learn. So I have a friend of mine, for example, for Google Ads. Shout out to Tomas on LinkedIn. Feel free to Google him. He's absolutely amazing. He has his community. So if anybody is looking to learn Google Ads, I suggest to join people like him for paid ads, like for email marketing. Like there's, communities for everything pretty much those days. Ad world as well. I use them in the past. There are sometimes some interesting things, some networking events, and it's generally speaking good to network with other people because you can learn. Like I suggest that anybody who's watching and start being active on LinkedIn, connect with people in your industry because like so many times I had some calls with other people in a similar space and like I didn't even try to pitch. I would just jump on a call, just have a conversation and try to learn what they're doing, what I can learn from them, share some of my experience, what I do. And yeah, that's how it sometimes works. It's free, free knowledge and free
Yeah,
experience. You just have to
yeah,
ask people, hey, do you want to have a coffee chat? That's all.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now speaking of that, we have just like got into the new year 2025. I want to know what were the agency and the business goals for 2024. How did you hit them? And what do you actually guys plan for 2025, both maybe in terms of scaling the agency in terms of revenue or in scaling the agency in terms of employees and team members?
Yeah. So in 2024, because I pretty much started building this like in July, yeah, August, September. So for me, my goal was to hit 20K a month in revenue in US, and I did that. I surpassed that. So it was all pretty much from organic. I didn't do
Yeah.
any pretty much outreach whatsoever. It's all just people referring me the business. And now the goal for this year is to try to push it to seven figures. So if I could, like, not even seven figures this year completely, but by end of the year, I could make about 100K a month. I'll be in revenue in US dollars. That would be an ideal scenario for me. And that's what I'm going to be working towards this year. Yeah, slowly increasing the client database. The thing with me is that I really try to focus on the retention because that's what I learned at the
Yeah.
previous agency that I worked for, and the reputation, retention, and delivery. So the reason why I didn't focus as much on the acquisition is because like once I got the clients, I want to make sure that my clients never leave. Surely they will leave at some point. They might sell
At
the
some point.
company, something might change, but I'm always trying to deliver the exceptional performance. So I was less focused on acquisition, more on retention. And I kind of figured this part out. I'm slightly trying to improve the acquisition and kind of move this up slowly.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. And what about in terms of employees? Like, do you want to go ahead and like grow the agency also in terms of uh, in-house team members, or you want to like keep the circle small for now?
Yes, I'll definitely increase the employee size, not by a lot, because I think that with today's AI world, you don't really need a lot of people in a team because you can
Yeah.
leverage so much with the AI and it's getting better with every month. That you don't need a lot of employees anymore. But what I would always focus on heavily is the creative team because the creative is like 80% of your performance on ads pretty much. So if you could get a good people to create the ads, graphic designer, video editor, somebody who can like perhaps creative strategist who can help you to write the ads, design better, copy,
Yeah.
different ad concepts, that would be ideal. So like I don't even think you need more media buyers. Like kind of like I'm a media buyer. Like I've been doing this job for years, and it's really just going away. I feel like the media buyers as a old school people won't just exist anymore. It's just really all the creatives and how you can present the brand, and it's more being a strategic partner, like trying to scale the brands in a omni-channel way.
Yeah, and now speaking like in terms of the I want to know where do you stand in terms of your perspective. How do you think AI will impact your industries that you're working with? And do you guys feel, let's say, maybe threatened by the AI, or do you feel like it will make you stronger by taking advantage of it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that, realistically, the AI is changing the industry. And I think like if you are lazy and all you're just trying to do is like run ads or do some basic tasks only, you're not gonna exist in a couple of maybe 2, 3, 4 years. It's not gonna be a job anymore. Really, where I think that the agency is gonna grow is by getting this omni-channel approach. So being more a growth strategist, kind of like growth partner rather than just a media buying
Yeah.
agency. So you like now, like again, my core offer is I'm running ads and I'm trying to get them highly qualified traffic to the clients that are coming through. But oftentimes the problem is with the sales funnel, the offer. So if you cannot help them out with the other part of the business, sometimes optimize the back end, the profitability, like there's so many things. Sometimes it's like you might be doing lead gen, that's fine, but like if you're getting leads and booking appointments, but your client cannot close, then guess what? It doesn't matter how many calls you book, they just ain't gonna close. They're gonna
Yeah.
fire you sooner or later. So you really gotta like think of your industry that you're working with and try to provide them with more and more value in the back end. So you kind of have a little bit of more leverage. I feel like that's where the agency is gonna succeed. And the one that just offer very basic services, they're just gonna go away at some point, I guess.
Yeah, eventually at some point, absolutely. So now, what has been your biggest client, whether that's for your agency specifically or working with other agencies that you have made like the most amount of money in a single month?
Yeah, so for me, the biggest revenue is about 25K US a month, but I have a very low cost of employees, so very good margins because, like I said, it's all from the referrals, so there is no ad spend to acquire people whatsoever. So that's it for now. But when I've seen all the agencies getting very big checks being paid, 40, 50, $60,000 from one client. So it's definitely doable. It's just how you present your business, right? Because it's kind of interesting. Like there's a lot of people out there that are just trying to close clients on like 2, 3K retainers, $2,000, and they struggle. And there are some agencies out there that literally just closing deals at 50K amount, and they're getting clients to pay them. So it's yeah, it's just interesting. I think that you definitely gotta focus to build some social proof first, and then get into networking, and meet some people. Sometimes some people can open the door for you to those higher
Yeah.
level individuals.
And what about your clients? So, what has been, maybe not specifically by name or anything, but what has been your biggest client that you've generated like maybe the best results for them?
So when you say the biggest client, do you mean in terms of revenue? Like if you specify the
Yeah.
question? Yeah, the biggest client I think that would pay me, it's about 6,000 US a year.
Hmm.
Those are
And
about the biggest so far.
and no, like I actually mean in terms of your biggest client that you have generated sales for them.
Right. Okay. So there was a lot when I worked for the previous agency. I had a lot of these big clients. The clients I have now at my agency, they're not as big. They are like at 7, 8 figures, some of them. But like for example, the most recent one, I have one client who's at 7 figure. He has a kind of like he has a lot of products. He has books. He's like a coach type of thing. He has a mobile app. He has a high ticket offers that upwards $10,000. So, for example, when I started working with him, we did way more ads and improved the performance and everything. But I saw a big gap because he didn't have a low ticket offer to get more people in who are
Yeah.
qualified. So we launched a low ticket offer that was just like $20 a month. $20 it was the total price. We stack up the value, and in like 6, 7 weeks, I brought him about 2,000 people through that offer. And we already closed about 50,000, 70,000 actually with all the upsells revenue with the back end high ticket, in just first month. So it's kind of interesting, right? I feel like a lot of the time, actually, when I'm working with some businesses, they have some offers, they have something that works. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes ads is not everything. You have to like develop the offers that can help you to grow. Sometimes there might be a different pain points, targeting different pain points. Sometimes there might be different price levels. So many things, So that's like the nicest case study in the last 2 months that I've got. Yeah, just pretty
Yeah,
cool.
because also the results are very quick. Like in one
Yeah.
month, so much sales. That's quite impressive. And now being in a very saturated market and industry, what do you think is making you like differentiating yourself from other agencies? What do you think makes you different from other agencies?
Okay, so I think to be honest with you, at that point, it's kind of difficult to differentiate yourself because like every agency is going to be doing pretty much the similar thing. It's just the quality of the work and the attention to details. So the way that I try to do it and build my brand is by actually focus on the results. Like I'm not really too concerned about the acquisition. I feel like where a lot of agencies, especially young agencies, where they fail in is that they sign up the clients regardless whether they can help them or not. I genuinely try to sign only those people where I feel confident about
You
helping
can
them. That's
help.
one. And two, if I'm busy with the current work, I'm not necessarily going to onboard another client until I can, make sure that the current clients are in a good position. So that's the second thing. But really, the differentiating factor is that what I'm trying to focus on compared to the other agencies is the creative volume testing. Because what I found, like when I work at the previous agency and consulting for other agencies, that oftentimes when I even do the audits on the account, I see that there are different businesses. They might have an in-house media buyer, they might do media buying themselves, have a creative agency, have a media buying agency. The problem is that oftentimes there is not enough ads being tested to actually come up with a winning concept. So, for some of the clients, we would develop like 100 ads in a single month. From different scripts, different static images that we would test different concepts, see what works, and then after that, optimize and just only focus on what works and try to expand on that. I feel like a lot of the time when I'm auditing the account, I'm seeing like the business that is doing 7 figures in revenue and they have like 8 ads running. I'm like, okay, and how much you paying your agency? Oh, well, we pay them like 2-3K account. So I'm like, well, there's just not a lot
Doesn't make sense.
of yeah, it doesn't make sense. So what I try to focus on, if the client has enough budget, is just to build those really focus direct response ads that are meant to convert. Because a lot of the time I also feel like when I'm looking at the content that is being put out there, it's just like sometimes some random content. Not even sometimes the agencies are doing it. It could be that the brand is doing it themselves and they're just not very knowledgeable about the marketing. But basically, when I'm working with the clients, I try to make sure that from the very beginning, we build the ads that are focused on conversions. So that's the first thing, and building them at scale. Yeah, I feel like this is the slight at affordable price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the bonus point.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, I want to know, like, if you can tell me a time about a client where you had a difficult time with them but made it work, because I feel like sometimes clients might have unrealistic expectation, and especially with the paid ads, they feel like once you launch the ads, boom, you will have sales, sales, sales. So I feel like that's something that happens a lot in the industry where clients, maybe not most of them, but certainly a significant amount of them, has unrealistic expectation. I just want to know how you actually handle those situations.
So you're 100% correct. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are very unrealistic, and it is because they very often unexperienced business people. They usually, when I speak with different clients who maybe have a smaller businesses, but they've been in business for years, they are way more patient and they understand that you need time sometimes to make things work. I believe that really the way that I retain my clients is by first of all, I'm transparent from the beginning. I feel like a lot of agencies out there just selling bullshit just to close the client. They'll say anything just to get the money out of them. They will try to push some money back guarantee offer. If we don't deliver, you don't pay. And then if they don't deliver, because it's not necessarily their fault, it's just the sales funnel isn't working or the offer isn't converting. And then, have some terms and conditions. And it's just, at the end of the day, if you are transparent with the client and you're like, okay, listen, that's the situation, that's the sales funnel. Like, we can test this. We don't know what's going to work in a month one. So like being upfront with them, like it's going to probably take 2 to 3 months before we can make it work. Sometimes maybe earlier. That's the first thing. So being upfront with them, so the expectations are aligned. Second thing that I try to do is I try to go outside of the ads manager. So if I see that something doesn't work, I'm trying to find a solution. So if the client also sees that you train everything that you can, that's in your power, like you literally just train everything that you can to make sure that they get that performance, they're way more likely to stick with you because they see, okay, well, Tomas been running ads for 2 months, we still break even, we don't really make any money, probably lost some money, but he builds more ads, testing different angles, he told us what to change on the sales funnel, he told us what to improve the email marketing, with this, right? So it'll be like, they're way more likely to stick with you. And if you just treat them as a proper, like a business partner, when you like just give them your expertise and your time, and they can feel that they can rely on you, I feel like people are way more like communication is super important. That's what I'm saying. They're way more likely to stick with you. But some people are just unrealistic. Like, some people are just, you can't help them. Some people can be helped. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree 100% on the communication is key, because I feel like sometimes even when you do not deliver great results, but you communicate the situation very good to the client, they can still stick with you. It's a matter of communication.
Yeah. Communication, I would say, to be honest with you, it's one of the most important elements. It's like crucial, because if you speak with them all the time with your clients, like you communicate, send them the updates, and if you see the problem, like what I would usually say, like a lot of agencies would do this. Sorry, just to throw this quickly. They see the problem, they try to hide it and mask it. They'll be like, oh, well, we get, like, for example, like this week performance sucks, but last week was great. So, hey, last week we get this. They won't even point the thing is this, if you are fully transparent with your client and say, hey, listen, we see the performance is dropping. This is the situation. This is the potential solution that we think we should implement. The client would respect you way more than if you just hide the stuff.
It shows that you care about them.
That you care, yeah. And it's been proven, I remember when I was even back in uni a few years ago and I was doing business study, and there was some case studies that we studied. I can't remember what industry it was. But let's just say, for example, it was literally a study being done that if you buy a car from a dealership and you get the car and you have a great experience and everything's perfect, you go home, you drive the car for 3 years, how likely are you to return to the same dealership? Let's say like 50%. Yeah, 50% of people, I would go back, buy another car. The second group of people is the people who would go buy the car would break, so they would have problems with that car, and that the dealership would handle it beautifully. They would look after that customer and make sure that every problem is solved. And if they would be asked, how likely you are to return this to this dealership, it was like 90%. Yeah. Because the trust was so high that they knew that if something if shit happens, they have my back. They will look after me. I'd rather stay with them. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good perception and good mindset to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, working a lot with e-commerce brands, like what do you think are maybe top 3 to 5 things that new e-commerce businesses are doing wrong that are actually set up for failure? Because we see a lot of brands like launching but dying and shutting down very soon. So what do you think is the problem behind that?
It's such a big question to answer, but like the top 3 things, I feel like the one thing would be not having enough content. I feel like the brands that's gonna succeed in 2025 are the brands that are really pushing like huge volume of content, not even through the paid ads, but just organically, and just being like everywhere and trying to do everything that they can to put the brand out there. I feel like a lot of brands that approached me in the past, last 2-3 years, even for freelancing, were the brands that they just saw like ads as a solution to lack of sales problem. And it's not necessarily the case. Like, you can be running ads, which is fine, but like if ads is your only, like Facebook ads or TikTok ads is just one acquisition channel, you don't have a great business probably. Like, it might work, but like once you get banned, you have no business, right? So it's very interesting. So that's the first thing. Like, I feel like the content and like the brands where they can succeed and scale fast is the one that are pushing creative ideas out there. Second thing is the brands that are not really optimized for the lifetime value and AOV. I feel like a lot of brands out there, they have just like one product and it works for them somehow, but they never really think of, okay, what can we improve? Can we implement supplementary product? What can we improve with the product? Because everything's super saturated those days, right? A lot of the niches are
Yeah.
just like whatever you sell. So you always have to like come up with a new idea. If you just don't grow, don't develop don't improve, I feel like the product itself, it's a little bit limited in scalability sometimes. So you always have to think of your product and the offer and the quality. Yeah, and those are like the most important things pretty much, I think, from the growth perspective. And yeah, I think that's it pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like also maybe it's a thing of so many gurus maybe glamorizing the e-commerce business because it's good, you can make money, but I feel like a lot of gurus make it seem so easy, you get a product from someone else, you put it in your store, you sell it, you keep the profit, you pay the supplier, but when you dive deep into the business, there are so much details that no one talks about, but on the outside world, it just seemed very, very easy. Now, I want to know about Thomas outside the business, on your personal life. Is there any kind of hobbies or interests that you do on a daily basis? And how do you think that maybe affected you as a better entrepreneur?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, not some. I like to travel a little bit. I like to go to like some nice islands, so like see some stuff. Outside of the computers, like usually I work, but then after that I do like to take some time off. Sauna, I love sauna, swimming
Yeah,
pool. Those
yeah,
are my
me too.
favorite activities. Go for swim, go for a walk, gym, be active. I feel like it helps me to release the pressure sometimes. Like, go have a good exercise, hit the sauna after, especially I live in Thailand. I have a beautiful condominium, like it's like 40, 50 levels. So we have like sauna, steam room inside, and it's really cool to just like relax. So those are my favorite
Relax.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really drink, party that much. I like to just go for a nice walk, go to a nice restaurant. So those are usually the activities. I don't really play computer games and stuff. Like, once I work on my computer, once I'm finished, I close it and enjoying the
And you don't
life.
want to deal with a computer. Yeah, yeah. Want to get rid of the
I
computer.
have enough. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a wrap on my side. We've been almost at the 45-minute mark. I don't know if there is anything from your side that maybe you want to mention that we have not mentioned at all right now.
I think that's all. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can search my name, Tomas Sledz. Maybe we can put some links after if anybody wants to connect and just have a chat. I'm always happy to meet new people because I met a lot of great people in the past in different industry and help each other. So if there's
Yeah,
anybody who listen this and like the ideas, the content I shared, please feel free to connect. If you need any help with paid ads, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to do some free audits, help you out whichever way I can to support your community as well.
absolutely, absolutely, for sure. I will make sure to mention you on a LinkedIn post as well, so people can connect and build great relationships. Awesome.
Thank you
So,
so much.
Thomas, I really want to thank you for taking the time to join with me today. I feel like it was a very, very fun and insightful conversation and a huge amount of value dropped. So, once again, thank you so much for joining me today, taking the time to share all your expertise and experience with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to speaking with you, Dave.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So, for everyone joining us, thank you very much for joining us today. Until the next episode, keep growing, keep thriving, and we'll see you on the next one.